episode of Backwoods Boys, guys. Seems that people like to get tours of the different places where we live, and so we figured we'd give you a tour of the Shane Shack here. We built this summer before this last one,
2017, summer and fall 2017, yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing construction. I'll be going into my 6th year coming up here, so I learned a lot of tricks of the trade and just how to do things properly along the way. I've got a really good boss who taught me really good skills for this. So to begin with, you got to have a good foundation, and that's just kind of what we're going to do here. We're going to run through what this beauty is.
Yeah. Well, 10 years ago, this was a hayfield to start with.
Yes. There was nothing here, nothing at all.
Yeah, 12 years ago, whatever. When we started homesteading, the bush line right here was the bush line, and all of this was just an old hayfield that had really poor hay.
Yeah.
And never a yard or anything here. So that's what we have to work with, is rough, uneven hayfield soil.
Just 13 years ago, actually.
13, okay, there we go.
2005 we moved here. But yeah, so normally I would scrape away the ground, the topsoil off of here, and put a nice gravel pad there, which I still did to an extent, but the water level is so close to the surface. When I scraped it away with the Bobcat, which our neighbor was kind enough to let me borrow, we have an awesome neighbor as well. I scraped away the topsoil.
One awesome neighbor.
We have multiple awesome neighbors, but this one lends us machinery when we need it. But yeah, scraped away the topsoil, and I only gone down about 6 inches, and there was already water coming up. That's how high our water table is here.
Yeah.
So
We had to sump pump that out.
we had to sump pump that out. That was exciting. And then when we got the gravel in, because we had so much water, the semi came in and got stuck in our yard here, and we had to get a loader to dig them out, and that was a whole rigmarole.
Yeah.
It was an exciting start to an exciting project, really. So eventually we got the water out, had enough of a dry spell that it had firmed up a little bit, still very wet if we went any deeper. So I started filling it back up. So we have the gravel pad here. It's between probably 8 and 18 inches everywhere, and really well packed. I kept driving over it with the Bobcat.
Yeah.
And it's like super packed.
Not concrete, but pretty close.
Yeah, it's about as good as you can get without actually going to concrete, and cheaper. And then from there, we put down 3 rows of railway ties. I wanted to build it off the ground. The whole idea is that this will eventually be moved to a quarter of land that Dale and I bought. So, but for now, because we don't have a well over there or anything,
Yeah.
it's just cheaper to do it here, save up, and then we'll move it there. Maybe there'll be an episode about it sometime. That'd be pretty cool. But, so I wanted to build this off the ground, so I put down some railway ties. We had to get those all leveled to each other, and that was a big part of the foundation. First was getting the gravel down and trying to get it level, and then the railway ties and getting them level to each other. From there we put down these beams. There's 5 rows. And
What are they made of? They're 2x6?
these are 2x6 all laminated together.
So 3 2x6s. So it's 6 inches thick.
Four of the 5 rows are 3 2x6s. The one in the middle is 5 2x6s. It's a really heavy duty beam because that's where my 2 sections of floor join together. So just to keep any movement out of there, I made that extra thick. So then we got those down, and then we had to build the floor. Now, with the Canadian winters, we got to build warm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places, and honestly, even a lot of the older places up here don't have insulated floors, and that's crazy.
It's miserable when you get out of bed in the morning because the floor's freezing.
Yeah, you can have it roasting hot because hot air rises. So you have warm air up here, but you can never get that floor warm.
Yeah.
It's always going to be cold, and that's not fun. So the floor is 8 inches thick, filled with insulation, R28 insulation for those of you that follow the R grading. We framed up the floor, 2x8 joists, and then filled it with insulation. We put this treated layer, 3/8 PWF on the bottom, just to keep any moisture that comes up from the ground that does hit it, even though it's off the ground, won't be an issue. And then we had to flip it. Thankfully, we built it in 2 sections. It was hard enough with that. That was
because we built it that so. I mean, when you screw that thin layer of plywood on the bottom, it's actually on the top. Because that's the only way you can screw it on. And then it had to be flipped over so it was on the bottom.
Yes, and sorry, I think I said that we insulated it. That came after the flipping. So we framed it, we put this PWF on, and then we had to flip each section, and there was the four of us. Cole was, I don't know where Cole was. He was playing hooky somewhere.
Yeah.
So, thankfully we had Mom along. She was
The powerhouse.
oh yeah, the muscle of the group. So, we flipped that, slid it together, nailed the two sections together on that thick beam in the middle, and then we insulated, put tongue and groove fir plywood, 3/4 inch on top, glued it all down, nailed her in place, and the floor was done. Praise the Lord! Now, the downside of that is with an insulated floor you have to keep it dry, and starting to get into some rainy weather here that year, we had have plastic laying over this and constantly going out and dumping water off of it just to try to keep that floor dry, because you don't want your insulation to get wet within there. So
Plus it was V-joint, and you don't want the V-joint plywood to swell, right?
yes, and the plywood's a lot better than the OSB. There's OSB tongue and groove, and that swells really bad with weather, but you also don't want, you don't want any of it to swell. So then from there, we went and started framing some walls. Some of the lumber I had to purchase. My grandpa was generous and gave us some lumber he had out at his old farm.
Yeah.
So that saved me some expense there. So we framed the walls. The outside is called ranch board. It's plywood with some grooves carved in it just to give a bit of a design, and it comes ready to stain or paint or whatever. It's made for exterior or interior, and we got it on sale, so the price was right, and it looks good. So,
And it's fast to put up.
yes,
Because it's
and
4-foot sheets.
yeah, because we did it that way, I didn't need to do house wrap. I didn't need to do siding, vinyl, or any other kind. It's just on, stain it, and it's done. So the walls are 6 inches thick, so R20 insulation, and we'll explain the inside when we go in for the tour in there. The trusses up top, I designed them myself, and we built them as a family. That was a lot of nails to pound. We did a little bit different style because I wanted even insulation right from the heel all the way up, but it's a cathedral ceiling inside, you'll see once we go in. So I didn't want to lose any insulation value all the way up. So instead of scissor trusses, because that comes right to a point on top of the wall, I made parallel box trusses. So it keeps their shape right up to the peak and allows me to have a full foot of insulation all the way up. So I've got R40 insulation in the ceiling, and vapor
So
barrier and all that.
Are what in the floor?
R28 in the floor,
20
R20 in the walls, R40 in the ceiling. And this thing, it holds heat. Last night I was sleeping in here and I set the stove just to barely simmer, and I actually kind of killed it last night. But it was totally fine when I woke up. It was really nice. So windows, they're not the expensive ones. They're just shop grade windows. I figure if they give me issues, I built the place. I know how to take them apart and put other ones in. And then just the window frames and decor, I just put together in a day and put it up. Still, as you can see, I have to do the soften and fascia. Been saving up, funds got a little low by the time it was able to be moved into, so that unfortunately is waiting for a little bit, but hopefully will be done soon.
And tin roof.
And a tin roof.
Better than shingles up here.
Yes, shingles doesn't allow the snow to slide off. We want the snow to slide off up here because it gets to carry a whole lot of weight. And you'll also notice I got a very steep pitch. That also helps it keeping the snow off. That way you don't have to climb up there and knock it off yourself and risk sliding off and breaking a leg. So,
Although with the steep pitch and the height, if you do have to climb up there, now you really risk
Then you're
sliding
in
off
trouble.
and breaking a leg. So.
yeah, it was very fun to tin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ended up having to go with just a rope tied around myself and as a harness over to a tree on one side, and then when I was on that side, over to a pole on this side. Just, safety first. Gotta take care of the little things like legs and being able to walk.
Yeah. Oh, and what'd you put underneath the tin?
Oh,
Tar paper.
underneath the tin, yes. I sheeted the roof with OSB, 7/16 OSB, or 3/8. I can't remember. It was 7/16 or 3/8. And then the brand I used was Bigfoot membrane. You put it through in rows up, each row overlapping itself, so that if any water does get through the tin for some reason, it just follows that and runs out the bottom. So
Still
no
isn't
harm
gonna
done.
soak into the wood root.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I think that's about it for the outside.
Yeah.
If you want, we can head in and have a tour of the place.
Good, because it's chilly out here.
All right. We'll see you inside.